Three, two, one!
Hello and welcome to Ellen's Crochet channel. Today is Sunday, June 29th, 2025. Welcome to my subscribers. Thank you for watching my videos, stopping by, watching to the end, leaving comments, and I hope you enjoy today's content. So, little backstory. Growing up, for me, Sundays recipes were sauce. Some families called it gravy. In my family, we called it sauce. And that's generally what was on the menu for Sundays. It was Sunday sauce with the family. Company usually every Sunday. That was when I was growing up, and even when my children were home every weekend, it was usually somebody, you know, there was company, Sunday sauce. In the summer, it would be sauce followed by a barbecue. But lately, Sunday recipes for me are working with my fiber. So I'm going to bring you a little recipe. I don't do tutorials with my makes. I get inspiration from others. This week I worked on, I'm calling this the Tipsy Cardigan, because the name of this stitch is Tipsy. Actually, I got inspiration from Crystal Bagaudet, because she put a tutorial out for this stitch, and she calls it the Tipsy stitch. So I will put a link below to the Tipsy stitch. But a little recipe for how I made my cardigan. So, and I will put a schematic somewhere. I'll fit it into the video for, you know, because many ask, do you have a pattern? Do you have a pattern? I don't have a pattern, but I do have a recipe. And I will tell you, this is very simple. It's a back panel and two front panels. Okay, and both panels start with the same chain length, because what you're chaining is actually this here length for both front panels and for the back panel. Okay, so both lengths are the same. I chained 90, okay, and then single crocheted across to give a foundation chain count of 89. The Tipsy stitch is done in a multiple of 4 plus 2. So if you wanted to make yours longer or shorter, you would just need to adjust it so that your stitch, the stitches will be 4 plus 2. So as I said, I chained 90 and single crocheted back across to give a foundation row of count of 89, and then I started the Tipsy stitch, which I will put a link below. I suggest you go watch Crystal's tutorial for the Tipsy stitch. It's very simple. I continued, so you're working this way. Okay, so this is your foundation row, and you're gonna grow it. You're gonna continue adding rows until it's the width of half of your largest circumference, whether that be your bust size or your hip size. So that would, half of that would be your back panel. Then I made two front panels. So what I did was, you would say this is 20 inches. I took off 4 inches, which would be 2 on each panel. So each panel is the same, and in between would be 4 inches. So this panel width and this panel width plus 4 inches equals the same size as my back panel, because the nape of my neck is 4 inches. Then I seamed them up. Okay, well actually I seamed the shoulder first. I did the shoulder seam in a single crochet, so it would have strength on the top. The side seams were mattress stitched, all along, leaving an opening. I think mine was about 6.5 inches for the sleeve. So I slip stitched up, I mattress stitched up to leave an opening for the sleeve on each side. Okay, now if you wanted to leave it there, you can leave it with no sleeves. I've added sleeves, and I will insert, I did do a small kind of recipe tutorial of how I do my sleeves, how I added my sleeves, because I did not do them in the round. I did them, hold a moment. So, okay, sorry for that brief intermission. I did my sleeves by adding on, and as I said, I will insert what I did below. I did not do my sleeves in the round. I did them by turning my work so that it would have the same visual stitch as the front and back panels, and there's really no visible seam on the sleeve anywhere. And yeah, so it's fairly simple. Even the sleeves are very simple. I left the edge, this stitch leaves a little bit of a ripple effect, so I left the edge on the bottom of the sleeve. And when I pieced the front and the back together, I left the edge that had that little wave on the front of the panels. And then the bottom, I just finished with a simple single crochet just to finish off the bottom going around. And basically that's it. That's my Tipsy cardigan. So the yarn I used for this was the Loops and Threads Silky Soft. It's a rayon from bamboo. It's 100% rayon from bamboo. This color was Smoke. There's 240 yards in each skein, and I used probably 4 3/4. You know, a little less than 5. This is a lightweight number 3 yarn, and I used my 4.5 millimeter clover hook for this. I believe the yarn calls for a 4 millimeter crochet hook. I used a 4.5 because I wanted a little bit of a drape, and it does have a nice drape. As I said, very simple. That's my recipe. The stitch, I said, is a stitch tutorial that I saw on Crystal Bagodet's channel, but the rest of the make is my, well, put it this way, I get inspiration from watching others and other makes that I have made, but I did not follow anybody's pattern except for my own. But yeah, so that's it, friends. My sleeve is about half. It's not quite a it's not quite a short or a half. It's in between. Okay, I will post a picture of myself wearing this, and you could see where the sleeve falls on me. And as I said, you could leave the sleeve off. You can make it a long sleeve, a 3/4 sleeve. You can make it whatever you like. You can use any yarn. You can use any weight of yarn. Just do the stitch count, the foundation stitch count, for however you want it. If you want it longer, if you want it shorter, you can make this, you know, crop. You make it yours. Make it yours, my friends. So I hope you enjoyed this little recipe, and as I said, I will be adding into this the little tutorial that I did for how I add my sleeves, and the rest of it is fairly self-explanatory. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I will answer any questions or comments that you have, and make one your own. Make it for yourself. You can do this. Even Kendall, even no sleeves Kendall, you can do this, Kendall. The sleeves are so simple. I hope I made you laugh. Okay, friends, take care, and I will see you on the next one. I hope you had a great weekend, and your week ahead is run smoothly, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome back, friends. This may be just a continuation of prior because I'm going to be splicing this in. And so this is how I worked my sleeves. And I want them to be even on both sides. Your sleeves, the circumference of your sleeve may be different than the circumference of my sleeve, but we need them to be even. So what I did was I counted the clusters, and I have 6 clusters on each panel, front and back will be the circumference that I want my sleeve. So the easiest way to do that is I start in the chain space before the 6th from the top of the sleeve. So I have 1, I don't know if you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in that chain space before the 6th, I'm going to start with a cluster, which is the Tipsy cluster is a double crochet 4 together, as we've done all along. So we're going to do a double crochet 4 together cluster. We're going right over the edge. Okay, we're going to work that right in, and we're going to close it up, chain 3 as we've done all along, and do a double crochet right over that end because it will work right in. And then we're going to go right to the next chain space here, and it is a little thicker because it's the end, but that's okay. It will look fine. Mine looked fine. To me, this was easier. We don't want to put another single crochet over that. I didn't want to. And I will show you how it looks on the other side when I did finish that sleeve. So we're going to do a cluster, chain 3, double crochet, and we're going to work that all across. Another cluster, close it in, chain 3, and another double crochet, and I'm going to work that all the way around till we get back here and till we get back to the other side, and I will show you how I finished that. And as I said, I apologize for the raw footage, but what you see is what you get, friends. And okay, so we started with 6 clusters on the one side. You will have 1 over the shoulder, in the shoulder area, and then you will, if you're following the same as count that I have, and then you will have 6 on the other side. And now you're going to join under the arm. Now you've already, you should have joined the side, your side, front and back panel on the side. And, you know, depending on your measurements, you may have, you may need to sew up some more because it's hard to judge. And that's fine. You can sew that up once you finish your sleeve. Okay, you'll see I have a little bit more space. I have about 1.5 inches where I could have continued up. But, you know, when you're doing the sleeves, sometimes while you're doing the fitting, it may be off. But, you know, we can adjust for that, and that's what I'm doing. So now I'm going to be joining my sleeve. And this is how we're going to be joining for the balance of the sleeve. I've finished my last cluster on the one side, and I'm going to be joining on the other. In the top stitch, of that cluster, which is right here. Okay, so we're going to join right there, and we're going to slip stitch. Okay, and now we've just closed off the sleeve. We're going to be chaining one, and we're going to turn our work, and we're going to continue our clusters around. We're going to go around, we're going to join, and you'll see that on the next half. So we're going to be doing clusters around, we're going to join at the top, and then we're going to be working, turning our work and working around and going back and forth around, turning our work until the sleeve is the length that we want. Okay, and I will show you on the last sleeve, the other sleeve, which I completed. Okay, I'm gonna take my camera off here. Okay, and hopefully you can see. This is my sleeve. All right, let me stand up so you can see. Okay, and I worked it, turning my work back and forth here, back and forth until I got the length I wanted. Okay, now as with this sleeve here, there was a little bit of opening underneath the arm of the sleeve, and I just closed it as I did when I did the front and back panel with a, you could see here, oh, right here, where is it? Right here. Okay, when I did my front and back panel, I did the mattress stitch. So I just continued that up so the armhole was closed. Okay, if you could see that. All right, where are we? I'm gonna have to splice this in because this is not. Okay, so to close the little opening underneath the armhole, I continued my slip stitch up. This is where there was about 1.5 inches from where I started my sleeve and to when I kind of estimated how high, you know, sleeve length. I thought I needed 7.5 inches, but this, as you know, when you work with yarn, this one gives a little bit, so the stretch was a little bit more. So I just continued to slip stitch up, okay, the front and back panel. And okay, so when you slip stitch, well, when you mattress stitch this little area here underneath the arm, you know, this is where you join the front and back panel. You could just continue that straight up so your arm is closed. And this is what your sleeve will look like if you do a, you know, mine is a little bit longer than a half sleeve, but you can leave that off, or you can perhaps do a little cap sleeve or just continue with a long sleeve. But that's how I worked my sleeve. As I said, I turned my work with this Tipsy stitch. It kind of works out the best for me. And I'm not going to finish off, well, this is disconnect. This is my other sleeve. That's not, it's completed. And you'll see I have a little bit of a, it's kind of like at a little finished ripple edge. So I did not finish, I did not do any other stitch on the end of the sleeve. I kind of left it like that. I think it looks very pretty because it's very similar to the stitch, how it is on the front. Again, the same thing. I did not put any finishing stitch on the front of my cardigan. However, on the bottom, I did do a simple single crochet just to give it some strength, you know, so it would hold it down a little bit. And, you know, that's it. And you will see her finished on Nellie, my mannequin. I think it came out great. I just need to finish that sleeve. And my summer Tipsy cardigan is complete. Hope you enjoyed my tutorial.